Thanks, Liz. Our Clayton Baumgarth also has spent time in Sullivan talking about the storm's aftermath.
Thanks. That's right, Joe. We are here in Sullivan, and after the initial shock of devastation is gone, residents are starting to move forward. I spoke this week to people that were displaced by the storm and also learned more about recovery efforts. Furniture, destroyed vehicles, bare foundations. You'll see these things in Sullivan in the wake of last week's tornado. And all around the debris field, you'll also find people picking through what remains of their homes and their lives.
We're blessed that we're alive because, I mean, you can replace anything. You can't replace yourself. So very thankful for that and very thankful for all the volunteers.
Lisa was one of the lucky few whose home wasn't completely leveled last Friday. She even stayed in it over the weekend until inspectors informed her that the rafters of the structure were compromised and that the home is unfit for living.
The house is 1916. That's when it was built. Yeah, I just love the house. Well, I don't want to see it have to be tore down, but if it's structurally compromised, I don't want to be in it either.
We spoke with a number of those affected by the storm, and many were understandably uncomfortable being on camera during such an emotional time. One resident shared the story of her son's harrowing effort to protect his newborn child.
They took our 8-day-old granddaughter and put her in a car seat, and they stuck her in the tub, and my daughter, Sierra, she hovered over her with a blanket.
After the tornado passed, the family helped their immediate neighbors, then rushed down the street to take shelter in a neighbor's basement.
With all his adrenaline, he kicked down the door, and there was a couple people in there, and he said, "I've got an infant. Do you have a basement? We need to find shelter." And they went down there, and they stayed there.
In the aftermath, the community came together to help those in need. They started by getting a head count and searching for those who were missing. In the end, 3 people were found dead. Volunteers then focused on cleanup and supplies for those in need. The Civic Center was transformed into a one-stop shop for everything those displaced by the storm might need.
We have shopping carts, we have totes. They can take 2 items, they can take 1,500 items. As long as they get what they need and what they want, we're pushing people to take as much as they possibly can.
The school district was on spring break when the tornado hit, and students returned to classes after a 2-hour delay on Monday. A daycare also kept its doors open, even though the owner's family was directly hit by the tornado. She says that giving kids a sense of normalcy is a large part of the healing process.
It just makes them feel safe. It takes them back to their safety net. It takes them back into a normal routine, normal life, just like us. You know, routines are patterns.
High schoolers were also allowed to take a field trip to volunteer their time helping around the city, including assisting in cleanup or working in the Civic Center.
The high school today, we had over 200 kids volunteer at down there at the site where the tornado hit.
The city is still under a curfew, and according to the administrators, will continue to be for as long as it takes to keep people safe.
I talked about the supplies and the different things coming to the city and coming to assist these people. But I can't stress enough, long-term recovery. We're here for the long haul.
Mayor Clint Lamb spent time speaking to the community and communicating with government officials. Governor Holcomb, Senators Todd Young and Mike Braun, and Congressman Larry Bouchon all visited throughout the week. They all spoke of their efforts to get state and federal dollars into Sullivan.
Republicans and Democrats, the entire congressional delegation intend to work together to advance whatever declaration the governor might seek, and it remains to be determined exactly what time frame we're dealing with.
Holcomb declared a disaster emergency in counties all over Indiana. The state now has to compile data from all areas affected by Friday's storms to submit for federal dollars. It is unclear when that money will be approved. And while residents wait for that assistance, the reality of just how much life can change in an instant sets in.
You see it on the news, you go and help people, but when it hits home and it hits your kids, my whole life is in there. It was in that bathroom, and I know that God took care of them. They took care of them. I'm just grateful that they're alive.
I'm joined now by Sullivan Mayor Clint Lamb, whose community was so devastated by this tornado. Thank you for joining me on this. To start, has there been any word on the status of state and federal assistance coming into the community?
It's my understanding that yesterday afternoon, Governor Holcomb actually asked the president or whatever sent out to D.C. His formal request for an expedited FEMA response. And, you know, as a mayor, you're never 100% prepared for this type of disaster, but you learn a lot as you go, right? So there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of different agencies that we're working with as far as Area 7, EMA, local officials, state officials, all the different departments, the Department of Homeland Security, FEMA directly, so to speak. And now basically the big hole is here with the governor sending this out to D.C. But want to make sure people understand that when people think FEMA is here, FEMA is not quite here. They were here over the weekend. They came back to do a windshield assessment. It's my understanding they have to do that first. And you got to remember they're taking care of 21 counties as well. As mayor, I'm going to continue to fight and expedite as many resources as I can here for the folks of the city of Sullivan. But I do also understand there is a process, and we're doing the best we can to hold tight.
Of course. We also know that earlier, kind of mid this week, we had some more severe weather come through the area. Sure. Can you kind of talk to me about how that went for you guys? I know there was a lot of preparation going on with tarps and totes.
Tarps and totes was obviously kind of the key from Tuesday and Wednesday. Also just being taking care of a lot of anxiety, right? There were a lot of anxious people in the community, and for very good reason. They'd just gone through such a traumatic event. The folks themselves that went through the traumatic event, but also now it's everybody's on edge, right? Because anytime there's thunder or any type of a storm, they're ready for that, or trying to be prepared for that. But yeah, it's my understanding that the storms from Wednesday really did not affect any of the recovery efforts. And if you look around here, I never thought in a million years I'd say that a disaster area is looking pretty good, but a disaster area is looking a lot better than it was, and each day it just continues to get better, and that's because of the resiliency and the resolve of the people of this community, also the love and support where they've had places to go, and also folks from the federal government, the state government, and local resources all coming together. We live in a society where it's very polarizing, and a lot of people don't maybe have faith and trust in government, but you know, they're always the first to come up to City Hall, and we're willing to step up and take care of them, because government isn't just this magical, mystical creature. It's people. It's your mayor, it's your governor, it's your president, it's your congressman. We're actually people too, and we just want to step up and help.
You mentioned the site, and it is looking a lot more cleaned up in the last week that this has been going on. You talked a lot about long-term recovery.
Sure.
Do we have an idea on when this short-term recovery, this cleanup, maybe the turning back on of utilities in this affected area, when those things might be completed?
It's my understanding that utilities are gradually starting to come back, right? Duke Energy, you've seen linemen. We're standing here close to a brand new pole, right? So we're trying to get utilities back in the area, water back in the area. Ohio Valley Gas, obviously, is another utility company that we got to get back here in the area. So it's being expedited pretty quickly here at the ground level. What we're really doing now is people are starting to mentally and emotionally transition to long-term, right? Up until about Tuesday, we were in just crisis, panic, and total despair, right? Tuesday, the sun started shining, just like it used to here in the city of Sullivan, and now it's really shining brighter. So I think people are feeling hopeful, they're feeling optimistic. We're kind of in that honeymoon recovery phase, but I also know it's going to get rough, and there's going to be some people that become disillusioned. I would love to stand here and tell you for sure it's going to be a 3-week process, a 4-week process, but also I couldn't have told you last Friday that I'd be standing with you Saturday and having the discussion we're having as well.
Well, Mayor, thank you so much for talking with us. I know you're busy, so I appreciate it. Live from Sullivan for WTIU and Indiana News Desk, I'm Clayton Baumgarth.